Good morning. This video I'm going to be talking a little bit about a project that I've been working on recently, and I'm really excited about it. It's fulfilling a lifelong dream of mine. When I was little, I wanted to be an author. I wrote stories and things like that. Tried to get published a few times when I was a child, but it didn't really work. But since then I've progressed onto other things, but still at the back of my mind there's been this I need to have a book with my name on it thing. So having got back into art, on my shop there's a few listings for like downloadable colouring pages that I drew. So I took a little bit of inspiration from a couple of presents I was given, which were colouring books themselves and some felt tips and stuff, which really got me back into art again and realising how it can soothe you. Stresses and strains from adult life, we kind of get a little bit lost, and it can be very difficult to relax and process our emotions. So, well, I don't know, for me that's the way it is, but I'd forgotten how much art and drawing and painting really helped me to release some of the things that I was feeling. So having been given some colouring books, doing that, it made me realise what I was missing out on. So I started to do drawing again, I started painting, I've done some canvases again, and it felt really good. So I decided to try and do a self-published colouring book of my own. So I've been working on that. I've been drawing bean mandalas. Excuse me, they're really quite fun to do. I was encouraged by a friend of mine who is an artist as well. Oh gosh, her stuff is amazing. In fact, I have some things of hers that I'm just going to shamelessly plug right now. Well, these are some of this one particularly is one of the first pieces she ever really did. She does a lot of glass painting, and this is a vase she made for me, and it's the story of my life. All these little things that she's drawn on there mean something to me. It would look like gibberish to somebody else, but to me it makes complete sense. So this was one of the first pieces she ever did. And some of the things that she does now are just incredible. So I'm really proud of my friend. But she was an inspiration there as well for me. Excuse me. Sorry, I got a tickle in my throat. So she does a lot of things like this. But she also does colouring pages too. Something she gave me recently, and it's a little bit naughty. So no children present. But this is a glass she did for me recently. It's a wine glass. I'm not really big on wine, but you can use it for other things. And her quirky sense of humour, it says, I hope you can read that, I don't want to say it, F it. And it's really funny and really quirky, and I love it, and these things are quite popular for her. So if you want to check out some of the things that my friend does, it's she's called the Therapeutic Artist. You can find her on Facebook or Twitter. Just check out some of the things that she does, because her artwork is incredible. It gives me a lot of pride, a lot of pleasure looking at her things, but she really inspired me to get back into my own artwork. And she had this little program that she's been using. There's a tablet with, I'll show you. Hold on. I have it, actually. Probably going to have to cut the gap out of this video. Anyway, so she'd been telling me about this little device that she'd bought, and it's ever so simple. It's called a whack-on. you notice tab, and it's for artwork and drawing. There's a pen that comes with it, and I'm damned if I can find that pen right now. It's slightly disorganised, but you get a free trial of some software, and I went on and bought the software after the free trial had ended, and it's wonderful. So I've created a lot of digital artworks that way, and I was really nervous about transferring my physical art skills over to digital, thinking I'd be no good. But it's like everything else, really. You just practice. So I got a lot better at it. So one thing, with a couple of pokes from my friend, she said about doing these colouring books, and I suddenly got really captured by the idea. So I did it. I created a colouring book. It's not complete yet. This is just the first proof, but I have to. I've been doing some changes to it now that I've got the physical proof copy. I've made some changes to it, and I've got to order another proof. So I'll do a video on that once it gets here. And then once I've approved the physical proof, I can okay it for distribution, and that's me published. So I'm really happy about that. It's not a story. Well, not words anyway. My artwork does tend to have a story to it. Not that anybody could fully interpret my meaning behind the things that I draw. There's a lot of room for interpretation, but I have a story behind the things that I draw. So, to me, this is as good as having published a storybook. So, I'm going to show you the book now. And here it is. So, we have some digital artwork I did on the front. A bit of blurb at the back with pieces about me, little photo, and inside we have my drawings that can be coloured. They're a nice size. They're not as big as I thought they would be, but I have since made the physical book bigger, plus the images a bit bigger. It's all about sort of figuring out what works best. So this one, that one's one of my favourites. That one. But I found as I went on, things sort of began to gel into place a little bit, and they got a bit more complicated as you go along. And the ones I'm doing now are very, very complicated, but I love them. So they vary in size. This is one of my favourites as well. I'll just show you a bit there. Let's see if I can get there we go. Anyway, so as we're going along, you can tell that my skills began to get a lot better. Another couple of my favourites. This one has butterflies and bees on it. Rather than just doing shapes, I started to incorporate actual images into them and begin to do the story. And here we have like an angel. There is somebody with a pot held above their head, and it looks like there's something coming out of the pot, and there's a tree and butterflies and sunsets, and it was just... And this one has a bird and another sun, lots of clouds and various things. It just, as you can see, it just sort of got more and more complicated, and I love doing them. So yeah, that's the there we go. Wasn't quite finished. Some people, like my mother, she doesn't really like the mandalas so much as they mess with her eyes a little bit, but for me, I love them. So this, as I said, lifelong dream. This one here was quite funny. No idea why I drew it, but it was inspired a little bit by Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Unfortunately, on this particular copy, it came upside down. So you can see in the middle it says "so long and thanks for all the fish" with dolphins doing little twirls around it. I have absolutely no idea why I did that, but there it is. I have fixed that issue in the new copy, so that is just waiting to be printed and sent to me. What I realised was, when I first made the file to make up the interior, I couldn't figure out how to get them, because what I wanted to do was one image per page, so that you'd have one there, and that would be blank, and then one there, and that would be blank, and so on. Because in my head, if you're doing artwork like that, it would always be nice to be able to cut that page out and frame it if you really wanted to. Some people do. And the other thing was, I'm one of these people, when I'm doing colouring books, pencils are great, but I like felt tips. Don't know why. So I was a bit worried that having them this way, where you've got one on the front, one on the back, felt tips wouldn't be possible. But I figured out how to do that, so that is now in the new book. It's the way I wanted it to. So I did a little felt tip test. No, my daughter did a little felt tip test for me in the corner of one of the pages to see if the ink would bleed through, and it didn't really. So with the new format for this book, it would be possible to do felt tips, because I was worried that I might have to put a little bit in the blurb saying, suggestion, just use colouring pencils for it, which is kind of, for me, dampening people's creativity. I don't want to be restricted that way, so I figured out how to do it the way I really wanted to. So it's got a lot more pages in it, but that's worth it for me. So eventually, should be by the end of this year, this book, with a few changes to it, will be available to buy from many e-stores and possibly bookstores as well, and shops. So, little lifelong dream happening here. I've got a lot more on the cards for this particular line of things that I want to do. I'm working on another colouring book plus poetry. I already have a poem published, but I would like one book at least with my poetry in it, so I'm working on that as well. And it's all self-published. So eventually maybe I will get up the courage to publish a story, as that was my original dream. But being the perfectionist I am, none of them are quite perfect yet. So I'm just working on the things that I know I can do really, really well. Anyway, so yes, by the end of the year this should be available, and the colouring books will all be entitled with the House of Nika, because that is the umbrella for my creative works. So it's going to be part of my business on Etsy as well. I shall be ordering some and selling them on Etsy as well. Anyway, thank you for listening to me ramble again. Take care, and I hope you have a good day.